Welcome to Lashback, everyone. I'm Natalyan.
And I'm Phoebe. And this week we're going to examine the difference between loneliness, being alone, and peacefulness. What say you, Nat?
Yeah, so this is an interesting topic because I talk about this a lot, having been, quite recently out of a marriage as well. So I think that that's kind of relevant. And I've always liked being alone. But what is the difference between loneliness and being alone? Because they're not the same thing. And I like to protect my peace. So
Yeah.
I looked at psychology today as just one of the sources, but it says that loneliness is a painful emotional state that arises when our need for meaningful connection isn't met. So I think
Yes.
that's really interesting. So
Yes.
let's give that
I've
to
been
you.
the loneliest in a crowd before.
Exactly.
I've been the loneliest with one other person who's not acknowledging me. Then I've been
That's why
when on
being
my
alone is
own.
a thing,
Yeah.
because you can be lonely in a house full of people or a room full of people because no one's giving you the connection that you're yearning, right?
Yeah. Totally. Like Cinderella, bet she was lonely.
Yeah. Well, in contrast, being alone, as we just said, simply means physically by yourself without others around. It is a neutral state, neither good nor bad in itself. And for many, time alone can be restful, restorative, and essential for self-reflection. But
I
you've
think
got
this is
to,
important to talk about in terms of adults, because like teenagers crave other people because the brain at that age is developing social coding. So, like you remember every single film star from your teenage years because your brain is remembering social. And when you get older, I mean, I wouldn't even be able to tell you who the most famous actor was right now, even though I still go to the cinema. Yeah, that's very interesting. So we're talking about adults here.
yep.
And I was reading very recently that spending time alone is as good for your dopamine levels in your brain as fasting is as good for your insulin. So it's this idea of fasting from other people in order to not get kind of overstimmed and then be able to um, create your own sort of drive and motivation. Actually, if you overspend time, if you over socialize, then that can actually be quite negative for you.
That's
I've
such a
I've
good point.
I read this going, yeah. I've socialized almost addictively before because I want to face my own stuff. And then been really lonely because actually I'm not doing the things in my life I want to be doing, and therefore I'm not with the people that are my tribe and all of that. The strength in solitude for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that that's from a personal perspective, which we like to touch upon in Lashback, obviously, is that I've been through that quite recently. I went through a phase of over socializing. All the things that I wanted to achieve, finishing my album, finishing this, finishing that, was falling by the wayside because, that yearn for acceptance, being liked.
Validation.
Yeah. And I actually then took a step back a few weeks ago, funny enough, and during the week didn't see anybody and just did all the things that I wanted to do. Now I'm speaking to people all the time, musically, business wise, spend more time with my puppy who I share custody with, and it's really helped me frame my psychological outlook because I was starting to feel kind of a bit down on myself. So I kind of just needed that time away, and I'm definitely regrouped now. So I think there's a lot
Mm.
to that.
Also, I mean, get a bit hippie woo woo, but it's autumn. The trees are dropping their leaves. It is time to retreat and sort of, think, get quiet, get alone. Think when we come to winter and spring, we're planting seeds for the summer and then the harvest. Things have been harvested now. Nature is beginning to withdraw. And I think, us being natural too, despite what some might feel, we should be withdrawing at this time of year as well. I'm looking out the window and seeing it getting dark and I feel a bit depressed, but also I'm like, oh, good, I'm not going to go out.
Cozy. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you feel better staying in, don't
Actually,
you?
I actually want to eat a potato and go to bed, but this is a different
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah. But I think, look, we can talk about all the topics we have. We can talk about nonstop, but let's actually touch upon, you know, ways of combating loneliness as well, which I think is really interesting. And I think I'm going to start that off by the social component because social media is
So lonely.
so lonely. And one way from my research and talking to people, research online, but actually research with human beings, including myself, talking to myself, is taking a break from social media, because you can feel very lonely, inferior. Oh, I'm not doing what everyone else is doing.
I'm not on a beach in Greece.
Yeah, exactly. So I think a good way of doing that is taking a break from social media and really focusing on the things that you have in life, the things that you want to do, and practicing gratitude is another one, which kind of goes hand in hand. Yeah,
Hugely,
yeah.
hugely. I mean, what causes loneliness? We talked, didn't we, about like not having meaningful connection. But of course, how can you create meaningful connection with other people if you don't have a meaningful connection with yourself? So you can only create meaningful connection with yourself by spending time alone with your own thoughts, with your
And
own thoughts.
I think emphasis on the word meaningful as well, because I think we can,
Meaning.
as you were saying, over socialize with not necessarily the wrong people, but people that don't serve something within you. And I don't mean that literally serve,
Well, I mean, you
but
can hang out with a load of people because you all like
yeah,
drinking, and it's a
yeah,
negative
exactly.
hangout, really, because it's
And
not.
they're not maybe even right for you, or they're not, treating you right or something like that. And it's meaningful connections, the right people, the people that are supportive and you're supportive of, and that build you up and you build them up. So meaningful connections is the operative word, not just connections, because that's where we get it wrong.
It's that age-old question, isn't it? What's the meaning of life? The
Mm.
meaning of life is the meaning you give it.
Yeah, and connections, human interaction. So
Yeah.
it's not 24/7. You need to, as you said, you were absolutely bang on there. I completely agree with the fact that you can't have meaningful connections if you don't have one with yourself.
Yeah, you're out there in the world pretending because you don't know who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you need to take a step back every now and then, and even just little things. I've just got a list here of ways to combat it, because I think this is,
Go
a
on.
serious topic, is get outside. That makes a difference to me.
Nature.
A walk. Yeah. It makes such a difference just getting fresh air for your body, for your mind.
I was talking to somebody the other day, actually, in my role, in my day job. Sometimes I'm in a coaching situation, and this other person was having a tricky time, and we had a good chat. And at the end of the chat, I said, "Time to stop now. I'd suggest you go and stare at the water. Go and stare at the Thames for just 10
The
minutes.
water. Wow.
Yeah, it's really important, to go and connect to nature, and go and touch a tree or put your bare feet on the ground. Not at this time of year, of course, but like literally just go and recognize that there are bigger things than you. Like, this tree has been
Yeah.
here for hundreds of years, and I'm upset about my whatever.
Yeah. Sitting on a park bench is always good. And I need to find one where I live, because there's no such thing as one near me, I don't think. Though there probably is. I need to find it. But going and sitting on a park bench and just doing
Watching the
nothing,
world
not
go
reading,
by.
watching, is a really peaceful thing. Like, there's this local bar to me, actually, that was my first bar in this new area, because I've been in this area for a year. And I started making loads of friends there, which is actually, I pulled away because I knew too many people. And now I go specifically, especially if I've had a long day, and just sit outside with a drink, an alcoholic drink or not an alcoholic drink, only one, and just purposefully do not interact. I just wind down and just sit in the breeze, because it's getting
I
cooler
mean,
now.
like, we're saying take a break from social media.
Mm.
Like, Aristotle had a problem with the pencil, because he said people will stop remembering things. Now they can write things down.
Huh?
And then I saw a cartoon from like 1910 or something, which was having a go at people not paying attention to each other because they were reading newspapers on the train.
Ah.
So, like, we're saying, oh, social media is really bad for us. It's just a new form of the same thing that's been going on.
Worse, though, because it's 24/7.
And it's controlled, and there's a whole conspiracy theory there. But also, there's this notion of it being like too much input. So even reading a book, like, oh, reading a book relaxes me. Yeah, but it's still input. And actually, sometimes we just need to not input anything.
Not
We need to
input
not.
anymore.
Yeah, no distraction.
Yeah.
You don't need distraction, whether that's drinking with mates I don't really like, or reading a book, or being on social media, doom scrolling. actually no distraction. And Osho, who's a philosopher from the East, talks about the disease of doing. So, doing for the sake of doing, activity for the sake of it, rather than taking right or true action.
Which I've always been guilty of that, and I've read up on that a lot, and I'm very conscious of that. And just I find it difficult with my mind and my activeness to
and capitalism.
And I mean, do nothing, not sit on the couch and watch.
No, do nothing.
Do nothing. I find that so difficult. So I find that easier sitting outside. That's why I do kayaking, because you just go out there and float. And I go with a neighbour, but I'm going to start doing it on my own. Actually,
you go zone out, isn't it? You just sort of zone when you get into a flow.
It's not even physical. It's just floating and just doing that.
Lovely.
That's what you need in life. And I feel so much better when I've done it, even if it's 15 minutes. My day is always better when I've done it.
And rest is kind of villainized, isn't it? We should always be producing and be productive and working on the next thing, which is very kind of capitalistic energy. And actually, I don't think human beings were meant to do that. We were meant to be sitting in a field for a day, marveling at the sky and the clouds and how they changed.
Well, if you look back at, again, I'm not an expert, but there wasn't as many people around back in the day, right? So you'd have some interaction, but it wouldn't be constant interaction.
There wouldn't be cities.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be massive cities. Yeah, cities are very overwhelming.
If you're hunting or whatever, you're out there on your own, gathering your thoughts, connected with nature alone. You're not going out there chatting with your friend doing it. So we've just completely overkilled everything. We've taken that newspaper and we've turned it into a 24/7 non-stop newspaper that's completely...
Everyone can write in.
Yeah, we're going to do an episode about that, the social media conspiracy, because I think